Some battles didn't just decide wars, they changed history forever. From unstoppable armies to shocking betrayals, these clashes left the world shaken. Stay till the end, because number 1 will leave you speechless. Let's begin. Number 10. The Battle of Cannae, 216 BC, when 50,000 soldiers vanished into oblivion. The Roman Empire was at its peak, but Hannibal, Carthage's greatest general, set a trap so cunning that it led to one of the most horrific massacres in military history. The Romans, outnumbering Hannibal's forces, charged forward, confident of an easy victory. But what happened next was pure genius and pure horror. Hannibal's troops encircled the Romans, crushing them from all sides. By the end of the day, over 50,000 Roman soldiers lay dead, their bodies piling up so high that rivers of blood ran through the battlefield. But here's the shocking part. Hannibal didn't march to Rome after this colossal win. Why? Was it mercy? Or something far more sinister? Stay tuned because the next battle completely rewrote history. Number 9. The Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943. When an entire city became a death trap. Imagine an entire city turning into a graveyard. That's exactly what happened in Stalingrad. The Germans, believing themselves unstoppable, launched a full-scale invasion of the Soviet Union. But as they entered Stalingrad, they found themselves trapped in a nightmare they never saw coming. The Soviets used every ruined building, every shattered street, and even the sewers as weapons. Soldiers fought hand-to-hand in crumbling apartments, while snipers turned the ruins into a maze of death. The temperature plunged to minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Soldiers froze to death while standing. Supplies ran out, and desperate German troops resorted to eating their own dead. By the end, over 2 million people had perished. And here's the twist. This battle wasn't just about winning or losing. It marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. But what if I told you the next battle had even deadlier consequences? Number 8. The Battle of Waterloo, 1815. When Napoleon's fate was sealed in a single day. Napoleon Bonaparte was a military genius, feared by kings and emperors across Europe. But one single day changed his fate forever. The battle started with Napoleon's army crushing the British lines. Victory seemed guaranteed. Then, out of nowhere, a surprise counterattack shattered his entire army. Here's where it gets terrifying. Napoleon could have won if just one messenger hadn't gone missing. The reinforcements he needed never arrived, leaving his troops to be slaughtered in the thousands. As night fell, Napoleon's empire crumbled before his eyes. And the worst part? He spent his final years in exile, knowing a single misstep had destroyed everything. But wait till you hear about the next battle. It's even bloodier. Number 7. The Battle of Verdun, 1916, when soldiers drowned in fire and steel. If hell had a real-world version, it would be Verdun. In World War I, the Germans launched a plan so terrifying it was designed to bleed France dry. Over 700,000 soldiers clashed in a battle that lasted nearly a year. Machine guns mowed down waves of men within seconds. Artillery never stopped. For 10 months, millions of shells rained down, turning the land into a wasteland of fire, blood, and broken bodies. And the worst part? The battle ended without either side gaining anything, except endless death and destruction. But the next battle? It changed the world in a way no one expected. Number 6. The Mongol invasion of Baghdad, 1258. When a city was erased from history. Baghdad was one of the greatest cities in history, filled with scholars, libraries, and treasures of knowledge. But in 1258, the Mongols arrived, and what they did will chill you to the bone. The Mongols, led by Hulagu Khan, stormed the city, slaughtering every man, woman, and child. The Tigris River ran black with ink as they destroyed countless books and scrolls, wiping out centuries of knowledge. But here's the most terrifying part. The Mongols didn't just conquer Baghdad, they erased it. It would take centuries for the city to recover. And if you think this was brutal, wait till you hear about the next 5 battles. They're even worse. Number 5. The Battle of Antietam, 1862. The bloodiest single day in American history. Imagine standing on a battlefield where everywhere you look, bodies are piled on top of each other. That's exactly what happened at Antietam during the American Civil War. In just one day, over 23,000 soldiers were killed, wounded, or went missing. The battle started at dawn, with Union and Confederate forces clashing in an all-out bloodbath. The worst part? Soldiers described the creek running red with blood, and bodies were found stacked like firewood in what became known as Bloody Lane. And here's the chilling twist. This battle was so brutal that even though no clear winner emerged, it forced Lincoln to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, changing the course of history forever. But if you thought this was gruesome, the next battle makes this look like child's play. Number 4. The Battle of the Somme, 1916. When 57,000 soldiers fell in one morning. On July 1st, 1916, British troops were ordered to charge across no man's land to break through German defenses. But as soon as they took their first steps, it was already over. The Germans had waited patiently in hidden bunkers, and when the attack started, they unleashed hell. In the first few hours alone, 57,000 British soldiers were either dead or wounded, the worst day in British military history. And the most horrifying part? The battle lasted 141 days, yet the front lines barely moved. By the end, over 1 million men had been killed or wounded, and the battlefield became a wasteland of shattered bodies and burned earth. But if you think this was horrifying, the next battle makes it look like a skirmish. Number 3. The Battle of Hastings, 1066. The moment an entire kingdom was stolen. Sometimes, one arrow can change history forever. In 1066, England's King Harold faced William the Conqueror in a battle that would decide the fate of an entire nation. The Saxons fought bravely, holding their ground for hours. But then disaster struck. An arrow pierced Harold's eye, killing him instantly. His soldiers, seeing their leader fall, panicked and fled. And here's the jaw-dropping twist. This battle wasn't just about a king dying. It led to William seizing the English throne and reshaping the country's future forever. But if you think this battle was a turning point, the next one literally changed the map of the world. Number 2. The Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. When Alexander the Great destroyed an empire in one day. Alexander the Great faced Persia's massive army, outnumbered nearly 5-1. But instead of facing certain death, Alexander outsmarted the Persian king, Darius III, by luring his army into a trap. The Persians fell apart, and in just one battle, Alexander became the ruler of the Persian Empire. The twist? Darius fled in terror, abandoning his own army, and was later murdered by his own men. This battle wasn't just about victory. It marked the end of one of the greatest empires in history. But now, we arrive at the number 1 deadliest battle of all time, and its consequences were unlike anything the world had ever seen. Number 1. The Battle of Berlin, 1945. When a city was swallowed by war. The final battle of World War II in Europe was pure chaos. Millions of Soviet soldiers stormed into Berlin, raining destruction upon the city. The streets became a living nightmare, with tanks rolling over bodies and gunfire echoing through the ruins. Inside his underground bunker, Adolf Hitler realized it was over. With Soviet troops just blocks away, he made a final decision. He took his own life. And then came the ultimate twist. The Nazi regime collapsed overnight. But here's the real shocker. Some believe high-ranking Nazi officials secretly escaped and fled to South America, leaving behind a mystery that still haunts historians today. Which battle surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments below. And if you love learning about history's most shocking events, hit that subscribe button, because your support keeps us going and brings you more epic stories.